Welcome to Healing Whispers and Superfood Secrets, the podcast where we delve into the realms of holistic wellness and uncover the hidden gems of nutrition.
We're your hosts, Ashley
and Twyla.
And together we'll embark on a journey to explore the power of healing whispers and the transformative potential of superfoods.
From ancient remedies to modern nutritional science, join us as we unlock the secrets to vibrant health and well-being.
So sit back, relax, and let the healing whispers guide us to a world of wellness.
In last week's episode, Nourishing Recovery, Harnessing Superfoods in the Battle Against Addiction, we delved into the profound connection between nutrition and addiction recovery. We discovered how incorporating nutrient-rich superfoods can play a pivotal role in healing both mind and body, offering a holistic approach to overcoming addiction.
Tune into episode 1 to uncover the secrets of using superfoods to achieve a balanced, healthy, and addiction-free life. It has aired on YouTube and Spotify, and there will be links in the comments. So, Twyla, can you share about today's episode?
Sure thing. In episode 2, titled Stepping Out of the Darkness and Into the Light, a transformational journey to discovering your purpose and embracing self-love, we will discuss the transformative power of self-love, willpower, and purpose. Through insightful discussions and practical tips, we are going to explore how embracing self-love lays the foundation for achieving your goals, tapping into your inner strength, and discovering your true purpose in life. So join us on this empowering journey of self-discovery and personal growth.
First, let's introduce our special guest as someone who embodies the essence of self-love and purpose. He's not just living his truth, but thriving in it, inspiring others along the way with a profound understanding of his worth and clear sense of direction. Our guest serves as a shining example of what it means to embrace self-love and live in alignment with their purpose. His journey is not just about personal fulfillment, but also about making a positive impact on the world around him. Please be awesome. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. I am Be Awesome. It is more than a name. It is a way of life. The B represents all forms of the word be, past, present, and future tense. Be Awesome is also an acronym, and I'm going to share that with you right now, and then we can move on. Being in alignment with wonderful excitement, surrendering ourselves to a magical energy. Thank you for having me on today.
Thank you for joining us, and that's awesome. I love your acronym. So today, diving in, understanding self-love is like embarking on a journey to rediscover and embrace the most important relationship in your life, and that is the relationship with yourself. It's about recognizing your worth, nurturing your well-being, and cultivating a deep sense of compassion and acceptance towards yourself. And in this world that often emphasizes external validation, understanding self-love is a powerful act of reclaiming your own narrative, finding inner peace, and fostering resilience in the face of life's challenges.
Thank you, Twyla. But before we go too far into what self-love is, let me just share what it isn't. True self-love is not about being self-centered or narcissistic. Rather, it's about maintaining a healthy relationship with oneself that fosters inner peace, resilience, and a fulfilling life.
Yeah, true self-love involves a deep and genuine appreciation for oneself, including one's worth and value, beyond the superficial attributes or achievements that we have. So it encompasses several components, and one of them is self-acceptance, embracing all the parts of yourself, including all the flaws and imperfections and past mistakes, without that harsh self-judgment. And then self-compassion, treating ourselves with kindness and understanding, having healthy boundaries, respecting your own needs and limits and not compromising them to please other people. We have self-care, personal growth, authenticity, living in alignment with your true values, beliefs, and desires, and also positive self-talk. And I think Be Awesome had some things to talk about with self-talk.
Yeah, self-talk is very, very important. There is a connection between like your body, with it being 70% water. Um, the things that you say to yourself um, affect the molecular structure of the water inside your body. So when you if you're not talking to yourself in a loving way, if you're hard on yourself, it actually affects in the internal response, the physical response to the water inside your body, and that makes you feel even worse, and it lowers your overall energy, your vitality. So when you begin with the path of speaking positive words to yourself, it is going to have an impact on the water molecules in your body. And a movie that you may want to look into that will go into this in a little more detail. It's called What the Bleep Do We Know? And there's also a book called The Intention Experiment. So, and we will follow up with more details on that later.
All right, I'm going to pull up a picture of some examples of what our words, loving or not, can actually do to the water molecules. So I'll just give you a few moments to take a look at that. So you can see that the ones that are loving actually look like snowflakes. And those are just zoomed in of the water molecules. But then you look at, like, you know, you make me sick and polluted water. Like, that one at the bottom is really cool because it's showing the same exact, you know, water before and after a prayer was done and sent to the water. So this is a very great visual representation of what B was just talking about.
Yeah. And that kind of like brings me, this idea came up into my head, or I'm remembering. I started, because you know, we're all water, and so even the way we speak to each other is really important. And if you think about the word sorry, that is a word that kind of denotes shame. And so me and my friends have been doing this thing where every time we say sorry, we like stop ourselves and we're like, oh no, thank you. Or like if we forget and we say sorry, the other person's like, hey, thank you. And that has kind of like helped us get out of that shame, and stepping more into like using words that aren't shameful. And then also, in a sense, we're also trying to be more respectful to each other. So not doing things that really denote like an apology. Of course, we're going to apologize when we do something wrong, but this is kind of getting us out of using negative self-talk by being like, thank you, instead of sorry.
That actually resonates with something that I've been exposed to and thinking about, and I don't quite remember the name of it, but it has to do with what is it? What is it that I'm sorry, thank you, I forget. There we go. Thank you.
The Ho'oponopono prayer.
Okay, so yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Yeah, there it is, right there. I'm sorry, please forgive me, I thank you, I love you. That is very, very, very good.
That's definitely a powerful thing. Our words mean so much. And isn't there
for
some...
me,
Oh,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and for me, something that has been very beneficial to really like implement and really begin that self-love journey has been actually allowing myself to create a structure for myself. I'm like such a water energy that I really love to just flow with everything, but with having life things and like adding a whole set of things that I want to add into my, you know, my daily life, and making sure that those things actually get prioritized and put into my life. Having that structure has allowed me to incorporate, you know, different self-love activities, you know, in the morning before bed, you know, maybe randomly throughout the day. There's a Gene Key app. I can't remember what it's called off the top of my head, but you can set alarms, and it's like just a little sound that pops up on your phone, and it's just to remind you to just sit in silence and contemplate for a couple minutes. And it just, you know, allows you just in those few moments to just really just like, you know, whatever you're thinking about, whatever you're doing, take a second to just like ground yourself again. So just like having that structure just allows me to make sure that I still do those things, even when I get kind of swept away with, you know, the normal life things that, you know, need to get done.
Yeah. And that really shows the profound connection between self-love and overall well-being. Like, cultivating self-love is definitely a gradual process that involves those intentional practices and mindset shifts. And here are some effective ways to start. And I know that I've mentioned a few of these, but they're totally worth mentioning again. But practicing that self-compassion with ourselves, and, you know, treating ourselves like we would a friend, having that kindness and understanding, especially when we make mistakes. Avoid that harsh criticism, like self-criticism, and speak to yourself with empathy and support. Setting healthy boundaries, learning to say no to things that are draining our energy or compromising our values. Really, those boundaries are there to protect your time and space, so that you can prioritize your well-being. Engaging in self-care. And that's where, like Ash was talking about, building that structure out so that we can regularly participate in those activities that nourish our body, mind, and soul. So that can look like exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, hobbies, different relaxation techniques like meditation or yoga. Having that positive self-talk, like we said, journaling regularly. So this can look like writing down your thoughts and feelings and experiences that can help you to like process all the emotions that may be coming up and have clarity. You can also use that journal to reflect on things you appreciate about yourself and celebrate your achievements. Surrounding yourself with positivity, especially building that supportive network of friends, family, and mentors that uplift and encourage you, and avoiding those toxic relationships that undermine your self-worth. Forgiving yourself is a really big thing, letting go of those past mistakes and understanding that everyone makes mistakes, and pursuing your passions. So engaging in activities and hobbies that bring you joy and fulfillment, doing what you love, that can definitely boost your self-esteem and reinforce your sense of self-worth. Learning to accept compliments, and this is a really hard one for women, just because of the society that we grew up in. So a lot of times we deflect compliments, and we need to learn how to graciously accept them and recognize and appreciate like all those positive qualities that other people see in you. Focusing on your personal growth by setting realistic goals and working towards them, and celebrating your progress along the way. You've also there's tons of mindfulness and meditation practices that can help you develop a deeper sense of that inner peace and self-awareness. And then when it's necessary, seeking professional help is really, really, really important. Because they can provide guidance and support that's tailored to your like own individual specific needs. So super important.
And I just want to remind you that, you know, starting this self-love journey, like it is a journey. It's going to continue, you know, throughout your whole life. It's not just, you know, a destination that you're going to arrive to. So be patient with yourself, you know, acknowledge that it takes time to develop these practices that are actually going to last. And, you know, learning how to appreciate yourself is, you know, it's going to take a while. But B, weren't you just sharing with me earlier about the reflections and how we perceive the world around us?
Yes, I was. So the foundation of everything in our life that we experience actually begins with your relationship with yourself. And there's a saying that you can only build as high up as your foundation is down below in ground. And this ties into concepts like as above, so below, as within, so without. So when you take your energy, love, and attention and put it to yourself, like really feel it, like for yourself, deep down, that this will um, create a desire to only participate in activities and make choices that are self-loving. And when you do this and when you feel it, the deeper it goes inside and the more intense and honest you are with this, it is going to emanate out from your being and it is going to reflect itself in every part of your life, in primarily in your relationship with others, because the way you see yourself, you're going to begin to see that in others as well. The things that you love about yourself the most, you're going to notice in others. The things that you don't necessarily like about yourself, you're also going to notice in others, and it's going to serve as a reflection um, of who you are, and it is it's such a beautiful experience. So thank you.
Thanks for that. It's almost like
Thank you.
it's almost kind of like a compass, like to show you kind of where you still need to, work on things and where you need to go. But sometimes as we are still like trying to build, that being able to, build those habits that actually like ground us, or, like the breath work and many different things. It's easy to like forget those when we are in those moments of like high intensity emotion, or, really going through a hard time. Sometimes we like it just completely slips our mind. We're just like so frantic, and, we'll reach out to a friend and, kind of talk to them, and they may say, hey, did you do your breath work? Have you, tried meditating? Have you done anything like that today? And you already intellectually and like you already know these things, but in those moments it's really easy to kind of like forget them or overlook them. So it's really nice to have a friend to kind of reflect that back to you. And it's actually kind of cool because I just posted something the other day that like is so fitting for this like specific idea, is that sometimes you need that reflection from a friend, because your own mirror and reflection becomes a little bit foggy. You can't see where you are at because there's fog on the mirror. You're a little stressed out, overrun, whatever. And having sound people to kind of use as a reflection and to allow you to see where you need to kind of move forward is actually really, really beneficial to have.
Yeah, it definitely is, Ashley. And then on the other side of the spectrum is when you have negative people in your life. They definitely reflect back to you where you need to grow. And I just actually experienced this with 3 different roommates over the past couple months. And like the first one was very covert. I wasn't able to use my voice. And then the second one kind of became toxic, and like I didn't really handle the whole situation really good. And then the third one, it kind of like brought all the lessons back around, and I like remembered myself like, hello, this isn't what I want in my life. Hello, I want peace. Like, and I have to create my own peace. And so I got to really learn how to like come from a place of self-love, but also respect for the other person and be like, hey, this isn't going to work. Like, I need you to leave. And like that was so empowering to myself too, because then like after everything was over, like the peace came back into my life, and I've been able to like step into I was able to step into my power and create what I wanted out of this situation. So that's just like it goes both ways.
Oh yeah. There's it can definitely be a challenge to get into a routine of um, bettering yourself, taking care of yourself when you are in environments that are not conducive to that. Um, when you actually are aware of it, and you can see it, you can take gradual steps towards it, by um, just kind of being honest with the situation where you're sitting. Um, you may not be able to like physically change your environment like immediately, but you can change your internal environment, and that's really where uh, some ways to do that. Um, look at the music you're listening to. Look at the types of books you're reading. Consider the types of conversations you're having with people. You know, take all that into account and look for opportunities that you can take to just move the dial just a little bit. It's not going to be, you're not going to go from 0 to 100 overnight. You may only move one, 1 degree a day or whatever, but it's that consistency. And as you do this, just be aware of the small changes because you will see them, and it is going to um, it's basically going to prove to yourself with your experience that what you're doing is working, and it's going to propel you to continue on, and you're going to want to go deeper and do it more. And the magic in this is that those negative influences, especially when it comes to people, they will kind of leave your experience on their own because you're improving, you're increasing your internal energy, your vibration, and they are not going to be able to handle being around you. You don't with rare exception, you don't have to engage or participate in things you don't want to participate in. So you just shut the conversation down or walk away. Um, we know that there are extreme situations that some people may have to deal with, and hopefully by the end of this, there will be a pathway for you to begin and move forward, and just trying to get you to see that there's a way to get from where you're at to where you want to be. For providing you the resources to take that first step.
Yeah, definitely. And then just like stepping into your authentic power through acts of self-love, like really, really, I feel will take you in that direction of like getting rid of that toxicity and those negative influences in your life.
No, thank you for sharing that. You actually just reminded me of something that I recently just heard. It's a little acronym. It's CCIA. I have it right here in my notes. It's consistent, committed, imperfect action. Because a lot of the times we get stuck on, oh, this has to be perfect, or all those limiting beliefs start coming in, and just knowing that, taking that, that little meter moving, that even if it's just 1% every day, well, after 30 days, it's not going to look like 1%, it's going to look like 30%. It's going to actually be able to show. And that's why it's so important also to celebrate every win and being able to recognize those really, really small wins, because they are important. It's not just the big wins and the destination, like it's all the little like changes that you've been able to make along the journey, especially when it's difficult. Those are super important. So, some different techniques too for like nurturing that self-love, mindfulness practices and self-care routines, um, are important. And, we're going to share about some that we've found helpful, but there are definitely some powerful tools that can help you get to a very deeper sense of appreciation and compassion for, yourself. And it helps guide you on your journey towards that greater self-love and fulfillment. So for me, one of the things that I've always reminded myself that's helped me get through all the many different like obstacles and hurdles and tough times in my life is just reminding myself that this is only temporary. In those moments, it can feel like, oh my gosh, when is this going to end? It's never going to end. The rest of my life is just going to be horrible. And that's not true. It's only temporary. And being able to kind of have that mindset, allows you to step out of the emotions and, the craziness and chaotic, energy of what's going on and really focus on, okay, well, if this is temporary, what can I do right now in this moment, to take a step forward to get out of, those situations. And something else too is like we put so many expectations on where we think that we should be, but what I've really learned, sorry, through growing my connection with source is that we're always right where we need to be at that very moment. And if we were meant to be somewhere else or be further along, then we would be. And sometimes that's hard to look at in certain areas because we would wish for it to be different. But something that kind of has helped me accept that, especially when, reflecting and looking back on the past, is this statement. I don't remember where I heard it, but it's stayed with me for a very long time, is you only know what you know until you know. Like in those moments, you only know so much until you know more. And then when you know more, you are capable of taking the steps to move into that, that knowing more pretty much, and being able to make those steps to make, a greater change. But the biggest focus for me, because I do have, that perfectionism and expectations on myself and, having to forgive myself for not being where I think I should be, is having that self grace, being able to, have a conversation with myself like, okay, Ashley, this isn't where you wanted to be. This isn't the lesson you wanted to be stuck learning, but this is where we are. So, I'm sorry we're here, but thank you for bringing me here. And, let's move forward. Or, just reminding myself like, it's okay. It's okay. Nobody else is, I'm not racing against nobody else. There's no other competition. Like, it's just me and my solo journey. And I think that's a lot of what needs to be the focus when you are kind of going down that self-love. It is a self-love journey, not a collective self-love journey. Like, it's just our journey. So remembering that, and allowing yourself to have the space to make those mistakes and move forward, and just be nice to yourself. Sometimes it's really hard to just be nice to yourself.
Yeah.
That was that was really, really elaborate and very, very powerful. Wow. Now that gave me some ideas. That makes me think of a phrase, progress over perfection. You know, um, we're not here to be perfect. We weren't meant to be perfect. That's a relative, you know, construct. Um, what one of the most, if not the most important step in the process. I mean, the first step is um, knowing where you're at, being honest with where you are right now, who you are right now. Take a look at the areas of your life, give them definition. You know, if they're not what you desire them to be, then you need to, after you write them down, get another sheet of paper, write down where you want them to be. You know, you have to have a target in mind. You have to have a destination in mind. I mean, you don't. I mean, if you don't want to, but it makes it easier, because you have that power to decide. You have that power to create. You know, and this is one of the biggest struggles with a lot of people, because when you when you aren't where you want to be in life, depending on, you know, what your experiences have been, there's a good chance that you have basically locked yourself into the container of your current reality. And if that is where you stay, that is, you're never going to make any change at all. So, I mean, how do we, how do you break out? You know, how do you break out? I mean, just imagine the possibilities. I mean, that's all you can do. Just start. You know, no matter how unrealistic they seem or bizarre. I mean, like, just let everything go. Let your expectations go for a few minutes and just get your imagination flowing. You know, because if you can imagine it, you can create it, you can see it, you can bring it into your reality. So just start with where you're at, be honest with yourself, create an image or a video in your mind of where you'd like to be, and sit there with how that's going to make you feel. Like, hey, when I get here, this is how I'm going to feel. And sit in that essence, sit in that place, put yourself there, you know, close your eyes, imagine yourself there as often as you can. And the where you're at now and where you want to be are going to start getting closer and closer together, faster and faster and faster, and you're going to see things in your life start to change. Um,
Yeah.
Things that you encounter along the way are going to get you closer and closer. The key takeaway is, though, you have to have a certain level of faith and trust in things that you cannot see, because as Ashley said, you only know what you know until you know more. So how it applies to this, go as far as you can see, and then you'll see further.
Yeah.
So right now, you may not be able to see yourself in a multi-billion-dollar mansion, or like me, or like going, you know, in a mansion on the moon or something. Those are things that I see. But you can you can start with where you're at, dream as big as you can believe in yourself, and then when you get there,
Dream
naturally
again.
you're going to see more, you're going to see bigger. So, you know, start small, you know, if that's all you can do. And once you get there, you know, something you can believe in, right? Once you get there, you're naturally going to be like, you know what? I was able to do that. I can do this now. I can do this now. And it's just going to explode from there. So,
Yeah.
thank
And
you.
a lot of us talking about that, like that starting point, a lot of us don't really like, yeah, we can look at where we are right now, and that can be a really good starting point. And like for myself, when life gets fucking creative or sorry, chaotic and crazy, I go, okay, so like how am I taking care of my body? And I start there and I start focusing on that. Like maybe I haven't been eating well, and so I start eating better, and then I look at my environment. And so that's like my starting point of like building this foundation and making sure that like where I'm at right now is more like I can start with like taking better care of my body. I can start by taking care of my environment, maybe organizing it. And like I'm a Libra moon. So like I like aesthetics, I like beauty, and I love organization. And so that's where I can realize, like, I can see where I'm at right now and how my environment's affecting me, or maybe the people that I'm surrounding myself with are affecting me. And I can put that self love back into my life by like starting to take better care of myself and organizing my environment and maybe like not spending so much time with certain people. Um, and like the list just kind of like goes on from there. So like I feel like the universe will just be like, what's next, what's next, what's next. And then when we're dreaming about those big dreams, like I love what you said, Be Awesome, about like seeing where you are right now and then dreaming. And as you like time goes on, that gap will get shorter and shorter and shorter. But I do feel like a huge piece of that is surrender. And I like this quote. It's an AA quote, but it's like, it's none of my business. It's God's business.
Mhm.
And so, like, yes, my dreams are totally my business, but how it's going to happen is not. Like, spirit's going to bring that to me. And
Mhm.
so I've been practicing for the last couple of years that huge surrender and trust, and surrendering everything and giving it all away, and just like, yeah, but I still have my dreams. They're still there.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
still like try to write them down like every new moon, and like make little intentions that will get me closer to that. But I also surrender it massively and like try not to focus on it too much, so that I can have that peace within myself, knowing that like it's gonna come to fruition and I don't have to control how it happens. And you know, life does happen. It gets messy, and sometimes we have to start over and over and over again because it could get chaotic and crazy and we forget to love ourselves.
Oh, yes. Um, that was so incredible. Um, so when we think of, well, when we think, what's what's doing the thinking? Our brain, which is inside our body. Okay. So there is a very, very critical component to um, manifesting your dreams and the life you want, and your physical health. Um, and yeah, have you ever made plans to do something like, I'm gonna go to the museum on Friday, and you had to buy a ticket to go and it's scheduled, and then maybe Thursday night for dinner, maybe you are like, I'm gonna go out and have like oysters or something, and you don't know, the oysters made you sick. Um, when you wake up Friday morning and you feel terrible, your stomach hurts, you're not sad or upset. This isn't making you sad or upset, but your physical body is not responding well. And you couldn't have predicted that, but it's not responding well and it feels terrible. And you are like, I'm not going to the museum today because I feel terrible. I feel bad in my body and I'm just not going to go. Um, I mean, this is an example, but this really applies to just about anything, because when you're not feeling good in your physical body, it is very hard to want to or have any desire to really do anything, you know. You may have a to-do list that you don't even get started on, or you barely get through because you don't feel good. Um, and so it's important to understand, like, why healing your body, developing a healthy lifestyle is so important. And we haven't even really touched on the gut brain connection, but that's huge. Because everything that's going on in your stomach is uh 70 to 80% related to what's going on in your brain, in your mind, the way you think, the way you feel. There's a reason that um, many people don't actually have a desire to be better or be healthy. And just to be real quick about it, there's a lot of ingredients and things in a lot of the foods that are very easy to access, um, that aren't good for you, but they they disrupt your internal nervous system in such a way that it basically numbs it, so you don't actually feel the the damage it's causing, because your body's communication is being um, suppressed and hijacked, like it's like static on a phone line, but you don't even know that you're supposed to have active service, and and that's really what happens. Um, so just something to consider. Um, I can tell you, for me, the turning point for me, um, I I was feeling physically terrible, and I wasn't eating a lot of food because I was drinking a lot of alcohol. That gave me it kind of numbed a lot of my physical pain, and it numbed my um like emotional pain, and I could tell a huge difference when it wasn't in my system. And then, you know, by a miracle, I had a had an experience, and I was able to immediately give it up without looking back. And as a matter of fact, today being June 13th, February, March, April, May, June. So I'm technically 4 months and 2 days since my last drink. And I can tell you that, and I'm 37 years old, I can tell you that the the radical shift and change that has happened in my life in these last 4 months have been the most intense transformational period of the rest of my life combined. And that is saying a lot. And, um, you know, that story is for another day. But yeah, I'm telling you, it makes a huge difference.
No, that's awesome that you made that decision with your alcohol consumption, and like recognizing like what it was actually doing for you, because a lot of people just think people drink just to go have fun and hang out with friends, and like they don't even realize subconsciously like why they even actually drink. But that's kind of cool that you brought that up too, because that is what we were talking about in episode 1. So, if anybody resonated with that, definitely check out episode 1, because, you might find some good gems in that episode as well.
Yeah. So now let's break down the concept of willpower and its crucial role in personal transformation. By understanding how our willpower influences our actions and decisions, we can harness its strength to overcome the obstacles that we experience and achieve our goals. And I think that Be Awesome was telling us a story about his old boss and this idea of will versus skill. If you could share that with us.
Oh, definitely. My primary like physical skill set out there is telecommunications as a cable technician for about 10 years. So that's installing, the internet, TV, and phone service for people in their homes or businesses. And when I when I got promoted into management, my boss had shared something, a tool that he used to identify the weaknesses in others, and so he knew what to focus on to improve. Because in that type of industry, there's there's something called metrics, and it's based on your performance, much like any customer service based industry. They get ratings. You can rate them or whatever. But it was this concept of will versus skill. And it really forces people to be honest, because for the veteran technicians that have been doing it for years and years and years, like, there's that pride where they're like, no, I know everything. I know everything I need to know about my job. Okay, well, if that's the case, then there obviously the reason that your metrics are not that great, you must not have that desire. But it wasn't up to him to call the technician out. He let the technician call himself out by through this exercise. Like, it didn't give them any opportunity to make excuses, basically. Um, and and what they found is that, um, for the veterans that they did this exercise, most of them, it was determined that it was an issue with will. They had got comfortable and complacent with, um, where they were, that they just felt that they didn't need to be better, expand on their skills, learn the new technology to make things more efficient for themselves. And it kind of shed some light, and they had a decision to make. It's like, well, um, you either can develop the will, because this is your performance isn't going to cut it anymore. We were going to have to let you go and move on. Now, for the technicians that identified that it was an issue with skills, like if there was a particular area that they were struggling with, maybe it was communicating with a customer, for many, English as a second language can be challenging, can be a struggle. And then even those of us with English as a first language, we would run into customers that didn't really speak English at all. So um, we had to learn, certain phrases just to kind of develop some sort of understanding of what was going on. And then as technology improves, we can use things like Google Translate. They'd introduce like a language line that we can call. So things develop, but when you identify it that it is a skill can be taught, a skill can be practiced. And it's so important for anyone beginning this journey, in the middle of the journey. If you get to a point where you're stuck, or you're confused, or you don't know how to, or to move forward, this is a really good exercise, because um, the skills can be learned. You all have the power to learn the skills, but do you have the will? Do you have the willpower to to do the work? Because, I mean, I I have a lot of skills, but I lacked the will, because I was stuck, and I was trapped in just a different lifestyle that, at the time, it was comfortable. The comfort was great. The complacency was great. It was like, I'm taking the path of least resistance because of all the hardships that I've dealt with in the past. And it just got to a point where that wasn't working either. I'm like, I was forced to be honest with myself that this isn't the I was never ever happy with the life that I was in. I was just distracting myself and passing the time as quick as possible, thinking that um, something was just gonna pop in like a miracle. Like, yeah, I don't have to take anything seriously. I'll just win the lottery one day. But the thing is, I don't even buy lottery tickets. So how am I going to win the lottery if I'm not playing that game? So it's critical, very powerful.
Yeah. Thank you for your story. It's super interesting and it's so true. It's like if we have the willpower, we can do anything because we have the power to learn. Super
Yeah.
powerful idea.
No, for sure. Very, very powerful. And it allows you to kind of take that power back too within yourself. Like if you know you have that will, like you can really like go far and know that you can make it even when it's not showing up right in front of your face. And that is leads me to a quote that I recently came across. And I'm not sure who the original writer was, but it says, divinity is our ability to triumph and overcome human difficulty. So what I like about that quote is that really just sets the foundation that anyone is divine. They just need to figure out how to, overcome the things that we experience here, on Earth as humans. And some ways to overcome things in your life, like obstacles and whatnot. There's I've got a list of some here, but set clear and achievable goals, and also take those goals and break them down into smaller manageable steps. Having a daily routine with healthy habits, removing distractions, that's a big one for me. Prioritizing your self-care, surrounding with supportive people, maintaining that positive mindset, and really focusing on your stress management techniques like mindfulness and yoga and breath work, and making sure to celebrate those small achievements. It allows you to stay motivated on your goal, because you get to recognize, I'm actually making movement and, towards getting where I want to go. And then taking all of your setbacks in life and, looking back and reflecting on the setbacks from the past, and kind of changing your perception on them. They weren't, things that stopped you. They were actually opportunities being offered to you to grow and level up and move forward. And that brings me to the next point. Just keep moving forward, understanding that your growth comes from overcoming different obstacles. They're never going to go away. Even, it's crazy because we see people who, their life looks like perfect to us online, and it seems like they never have to deal with anything and whatnot. And it makes us dealing with our own obstacles seem like impossible. But what it really is they are overcoming their own obstacles as well. And we just don't see that. But remember that everybody has them. They're different for everyone. But yeah, it's kind of, sometimes it gets a little difficult, but just keep moving forward.
Yeah. And a common belief, a lot of people, when they're like, they have these big goals or these things that they need to do, they think that like, oh, I got to sit around and I got to wait for the motivation to come around. Like, yeah, I have this great idea, but I got to wait to be motivated to be able to like, get there. And it's such a common belief. But you know what? In my opinion, motivation does not come first. Action does. You start taking those actions and achieving things, and that's where that celebrating the small achievements to stay motivated, because motivation comes from making things happen.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you come up with a moment of inspiration, like, oh, I know what I want to do, right? Um, you really have like a 24-hour window to make a move on it. Because if you don't, it's gonna fade away. It's gonna deprioritize itself. It's gonna go on the back burner. You might forget. I've struggled with this. I come up with $1 million ideas all the time, but I don't write them down, and then I forget them within days. So I began writing things down, I I came to the realization, like, I don't remember everything. My memory is not that great. When I began writing things down, things started to really change a lot. So write it down, write the goal down. That, guess what? That is an action step, right? That is an action step. Okay. Write the goal down. If you can, use white paper. Okay. Do that. But write the goal down first. Okay. That's important. And then within 24 hours, take some sort of action step toward that goal. And it does not have to be drastic at all. It could literally be, I'm going to write down the name of 3 people that I can talk to about this. I mean, that's an action step, you know? Um, and that's it. Make it easy. Make it easy so that you cannot fail. And you can actually apply this to anything in your life. It doesn't have to be something new. You can put this into practice with things you do on a daily basis. Like if you know you have to do them, turn it into a game. Like if you know you have to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and take your dog out for a walk, even though it is a routine daily task, treat it like a goal. Enjoy the process, celebrate the victory when you're done. Like just these little tasks throughout the day, as you complete them, it will create a momentum cycle, and then it'll make it easier for you to add in new tasks throughout the day, to keep focus. But it's so important to write things down and keep track of what you're doing and where you're going, because it's so easy to forget, to get lost, in like like post-it notes. Post-it notes. If there's something you need to know that you'll forget, write it on a post-it note and put it where you're going to be in the future. Like, you know, got something going on at 2 o'clock. I'm leaving my house at 12. Okay. If this is like a regular thing, you put that post-it note right on your steering wheel. So when you get in the car, you're going to see it right in front of you and you'll be like, oh, that's right. Now it keeps it fresh in mind. Just little things like that. I don't know, but so just you're gonna see the magic in it, you know, of accomplishing these little goals as they snowball into bigger goals. Eventually, the life of your dreams.
Yeah. So every goal becomes a win when we simplify it. So that's an amazing perspective. Um, could you share with us how you overcame common obstacles in maintaining your willpower? I feel like your insights could offer valuable strategies for our audience facing similar challenges in their journey towards personal growth and transformation.
Yeah, I can. Over the years, it's always been like an ebb and flow. I wasn't dreaming big enough for myself. I was playing it safe. So what would happen is I'd get a goal, I'd accomplish it, and then I would coast basically. And what happens when you do that, when you stop doing the things that got you to your goal or your destination, like you can actually, you'll start going backwards. You know, you'll start going backwards. Um, the things you did. Let's talk about. I'm just kind of sidebarring here, but like if you're in a let's say you get a job, okay, and you're starting at base level, and you're working really really hard, okay, and you're doing all the things you're supposed to do, and then you get a promotion because that's all you wanted. You just wanted to get promoted to the next level because you wanted that pay raise, you wanted a little bit more freedom maybe, and then you get that promotion, and then you stop putting in the same effort, because you didn't your goal after that wasn't to go to the next step. You just wanted to get a little bit farther and think that when you get there you can coast, and it doesn't. You could maybe, but that you'll stop right there, and if that works for you, great. But what usually happens is that you're increasing the likelihood that you're not going to maintain that, if that makes sense. Or you're going to um, convince yourself that that is what your life is meant to be. Again, you're creating that box, and I'm saying this not like to judge anyone, because whatever you want to do, like if it brings you happiness and bliss, and it makes you happy, then that's okay. That's okay. What I'm shedding light on is that um, you have you have all the power. Um, and what something something happened to me that was a wake up call, in the most intense way, and I immediately recognized it for what it was, and I accepted um, that realization when it happened, and that was when I decided, yeah, I I have not been doing the things that I should have been doing, because I'm not going in the direction that I wanted to go, you know, which is okay because I'm here now. I'm in the right spot. Um, I'll tell you, it, would you like me to share specifically what that was?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So a few days after Christmas of 2023, um, I came home, and my my partner, my significant other, um, was caught in a situation that um, was not ideal with another person, and it was like a betrayal of trust, so to speak, that had manifested itself, and immediately, like, I did that for me, that's when that flight or fight response really it kicked in briefly. Like, I felt a jump in my heart. I'm like, oh, no way, this situation is happening to me. Like, I'm experiencing this right now, and like, there's no way. Like, I'm awesome. Like, nobody would want to do this to me. This doesn't make any sense. So I started down that initial like thought pattern for like a few seconds, and then she was not in the room at the time that I walked in. There was a gap, but I basically just um I initiated a conversation with the gentleman, and then politely asked them to leave, and went on from there. But the details of how everything happened, like, doesn't really matter. It was the moment that I'm like, okay, I know exactly what I need to do now. That this is definitely for me to um, completely detach from anybody else, because I am not responsible for anybody else right now but me. And I have not been doing the right things for me in a very, very long time. So that was really the beginning of the change. Now, I said that was Christmas, around after Christmas. So, what took so long to like give up drinking? Well, the drinking issue didn't really get super, super intense until shortly after this. Because when you get that freedom of not having to answer to anybody anymore, and not having to live up to anybody else's expectations or perceived expectations, and it's just you, that gives you a little bit more room and freedom to explore like who you are and what you're about. And that's exactly what I did. I went on this little journey of self-discovery, and it led me to meeting a person on February 12th, which was the day after the Super Bowl. And when I met this person, initially I had intentions of, this would be cool to date this person. You know, this person is very physically attractive. And I get there and we meet and we have like really deep conversation, and I'm listening to this person and I'm soaking it in, and then something hit me. Like, I can't I can't allow myself to be compromised anymore. Like, I can't allow myself to be detached from reality, unable to be aware of what's going on, because there something inside said, no matter what happens, if this person right now got herself in a jam, got stuck, or needed somebody to talk to, and felt that I was the person that um they needed to reach out to, and I was intoxicated or otherwise unable to be there, um, that would not be that did not feel good for me, you know. So I decided right then and there that I'm not going to drink anymore. I need to get my life back together. And this person made it clear, I don't want to date anyone. I'm just want a friend right now. So that's fine. That's fine. That's perfect. It's good. I probably don't need to be pursuing a relationship right now in my current state anyway. So what happened between February 12th and February 25th, right? This is like a 2-week period. That awareness and desire to be present and available for this one person expanded to being aware and available to anyone. Like, it just started to grow, you know. It started to, like, exponentially increase, like, what I wanted to do and who I wanted to be. Then, as a matter of fact, your next guest is a person that I had reached out to on the 25th of February. And we had a 2.5 hour conversation session. And that had such a profound effect on how I saw things around me. It released a lot of things, opened my mind up to the possibilities. And then it's just from that moment on, it's just everything has been growing and expanding and moving in a forward direction, and things that were not, like, were not helping me or helping me progress, they went away. Things that didn't serve me, they naturally just went away. They removed themselves from my experience. And it's just like, I can't even like really express it all in words, but it was just a moment of, like, just knowingness. It's like, all the power that I've ever had that I forgot about or didn't believe in, it just hit me. It hit me at once, and I said, "Look, we're doing this, and we're doing it now. Here we are."
Yeah.
So
Feels like that was a huge catalyst that brought you closer to self-love. So thank you for sharing all of that.
Well,
And what about you, Ashley? Like, how have you overcome common obstacles in maintaining your willpower?
Well, for me, this has been a very interesting journey. It really started with, actually going through one of the darkest times of my life, and being like super alone in moments when there were others around me. They just weren't, good people for me at that point. And I started like awakening to, different mindsets, differences in what I believed was really going on with reality. And it made me really take a look at all of the relationships in my life and how I had gotten to the point where I was sitting at. And then it, I kind of recognized that I had been, walking through life in this fantasy la la land with these rose colored glasses on, really believing that people didn't intentionally hurt people. Like, I mean, I know that, things can happen and people get hurt and blah, 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 blah. But I never really had recognized that people would go out of their way to actually like hurt someone on purpose. And coming to that realization that that does happen really like shattered my whole reality. It really had me like really look back, and then I was able to recognize that all these situations where I thought that everything was cool and these people were my friends, and that life was great, I came to realize that these people were being mean to me. Like they were bullying me. Like they were going out of their way to be really cruel. And not even recognizing like how that was affecting me. Like it really just it allowed me to stay in a state of mind that trusted everyone, and I didn't protect myself. Like because of living my life like that, I never really like took the precautions or paid attention to red flags. Like I just lived my life like we're living on rainbows and riding unicorns. Like everything's great. But because of experiencing that, kind of darker side and, opening up to those aspects of people, especially people that, said they loved me, said they cared about me, chose to be in my life, and recognizing that they were not supposed to be there and they were not good for me and they were not safe for me. That really like took those glasses off for me. And it makes me think about like the whole theory behind, the Gray Jedi, and like from Star Wars actually. So like the term pretty much like means that like it's someone who has the abilities, but they're not necessarily like affiliated with being on the light side or being on the dark side. It just means that they don't see things as black and white, and or light versus dark. Instead it's about finding a balance between the light and the dark, the good and the bad, and being able to use that as a skill. So that's something that I have been working on cultivating for myself because of having that strong upbringing on that light side, and then the dark side being so profound and just like impacting my life. I've had to kind of find that balance between the two and just learn how to just keep swimming to get through, just get through problems in life. Because even the obstacles or the hard times, I didn't really stay stuck in those feelings and those emotions of, this isn't supposed to be happening. This isn't normal. Like everything that I had to overcome because of someone else, I saw that as just a way of being because that's how my whole life was. But now having, you know, that gray Jedi theory in my life allows me to prevent outside obstacles from coming in, and also, you know how to help those sides, but also being able to maneuver forward through them in the most positive, loving manner for myself. So, you know, kind of changing that whole mindset and perception of my reality actually was a huge act of self-love and allowed me to protect myself.
Wow. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thanks for sharing. Be awesome. I feel like for me, so growing up, I was abandoned by my family, and I had two daughters at a very young age, and I was able, like, my whole purpose in life was to like be a mom and have this family, and like that's what was meaningful for me. And yeah, like along the way I made a lot of mistakes, and um didn't make right decisions. And I feel like the reason why I'm sharing this with you is because I lost my children in 2018, and I lost my purpose. And a lot of us, when it comes to our purpose, like, and or willpower, like sometimes we lose those things in our life, or we may never find them, and we need guidance. And so, like, when that happened, like, I lost the will to live, and I lost, like, my whole world crumbled. And so I had to kind of, and it was for about, I mean, it took me 2 years to get back to a state of where I was like, okay, I have to rebuild this relationship with myself. I have to rebuild the self-love, and rediscover who I am and what brings me joy. And like who I have become today is because of that time of reevaluating and getting myself back. And so I've taken a lot of really hard obstacles and had to just dive really deep within myself to get back and to maintain my willpower. But it also, like, I feel that has taught me so much resiliency, and I'm a pretty resilient person. And so it's just like what you said, just keep on swimming, like Finding Nemo. And that's where I am. Like, it's just like whatever comes up in my life, I have to keep going. And, we all experience super hard things. And so I wanted to go into this, explore the fight or flight response, because that's a lot of people who experience something like I did, or I know Ashley has a story too. We go through that fight or flight response, and it affects us on a mental and physical, like, level. So the fight or flight response triggers a surge of hormones like the adrenaline and the cortisol, which is another thing we talked about in episode 1. And it prepares the body to either confront or flee from a perceived threat. While this response can be a vital thing in dangerous situations, prolonged activation can lead to chronic stress, which has various negative effects on our mental and physical health. Mentally, it can cause anxiety, irritability, difficulty concentrating. Physically, it can manifest as high blood pressure, digestive issues, weakened immune system, and even increased risk of heart disease. So learning to manage this stress and practicing relaxation techniques can help mitigate these effects. And Ashley, if you could go into kind of like break down that fight or flight response for us so we can have a better understanding, that would be great.
Of course, thank you. So the fight or flight response is a physiological reaction to perceived threats, like you mentioned. But there's also other responses other than just fight or flight. But I'm going to go into each one a little bit more detail in like what gets activated within you. So for the fight response, that involves confronting the threat in an aggressive manner. It's triggered when you personally feel capable of overpowering whatever the threat that is. Physiologically, this can involve increased adrenaline, muscle tension, and heightened alertness. This makes me think of like those stories you hear about mama bear, you know, saving their children from, you know, some crazy thing. So for flight, this involves escaping from the threat. You know, fleeing seems like the best option, and your body will actually prepare you to run away by increasing your heart rate, your blood flow to the muscles, and rapid breathing. The freeze response, you become immobile or like paralyzed by the threat. And this can happen when neither fighting nor fleeing seems possible. It's characterized by a temporary state of shock, decreased heart rate, and muscle stiffness. Fawning involves trying to please the threat to avoid conflict. It often occurs in situations of chronic stress or abuse where appeasing the threat seems like the safest option, and this response can involve people pleasing type behaviors, compliance, and even submission. And then a new one that I just came across is called flop. And it's just like freezing, except you collapse or go completely limp in response to extreme threat. It's an instinctive reaction often seen in prey animals, making them appear dead to a predator. So this kind of makes me think of the whole concept of, you know, a possum. But these responses are automatic and driven by the nervous system, specifically the sympathetic nervous system, which prepares the body for immediate action. And understanding these responses can help in managing stress and trauma more effectively. But I also feel like it also can help, you know, someone on the other side, like actually witnessing someone experience this, kind of have an idea of what's going on with them so they can better like facilitate and like help them, you know, kind of get out of that automatic reaction.
Yeah, it's super important to be able to like manage this. Well, and so to have education about it and know what these are, like we can help other people, we can help ourselves. And so that kind of leads me into, I want to talk about some techniques for managing stress and anxiety, such as some deep breathing exercises, visualizations. These can be very powerful tools to help us cultivate like a sense of calm and resilience in the face of life's challenges, empowering us to navigate our journey with greater ease and clarity.
Yeah, I definitely. And adding self-love to your daily routine can actually really help manage these automatic responses. It helps you reduce your stress and anxiety, which makes it easier to handle the tough situations without feeling those intense overreactions. And self-love helps you also stay calm and resilient, and that promotes healthy ways to cope and improve your overall physical health. It encourages mindfulness so you can catch your stress actually early on, so it's not so debilitating, and then you're able to deal with it better. Positive self-talk is an important part of self-love. It helps you stay positive and approach your challenges in a more calm manner. In short, you know, self-love builds a strong foundation for your well-being, making it easier to manage the stress and keep those fight or flight responses in check.
Yeah, and at the end of this episode, I will talk a little bit about some of the tools that we have found that really, really help. And I know B, there was something, or B Awesome, there was something that you wanted to say here when we were talking about this earlier.
Yeah, you know, when you get caught up in the moment, it can be very challenging. You can try to plan for it, but when you're in it, very easy that with with the rush of chemicals released and blood pressure rising, it's very easy to forget what you were planning on doing, because most of the time these situations catch you off guard, right? You don't plan for it, you know. You just want to be prepared for it, but in certain situations, you know, you might already know what's going to happen when this person walks through that door and finds out what you did or whatever, and you're going to have to deal with that. So, um, it's important to pause. You may not have to respond or react immediately. Pause, analyze the situation, you know, ask yourself questions like on the inside, like, am I in danger? Can this situation result in me getting physically hurt, being killed, like extremes? And if not, if it makes you just uncomfortable or sad, you know, it can give you a better understanding, um, or a better outlook on how to proceed, maybe get out of that situation a little bit sooner. Um, I'm gonna I'll share a real life example. I used to when I was a kid, even up until I turned 18, uh, I did some things. I didn't follow the rules, you know. So when my dad would find out, he would have a reaction. And the older I got, the uh, the more I started to understand, like, that his reaction was very short. So I was able to kind of the weigh keep that in a balance. Like, you know, it prepared me to go and deal with him in that way because I knew exactly what was coming, and I was able to prepare myself to just deal with it. Like, "Hey, you know what? This is a temporary, intense response. I know exactly what's going to happen, and then I know how to make sure that it dissipates, that it de-escalates." And as an adult now, even in like talking to him, sometimes I sometimes I forget his triggers, and his triggers are not my responsibility, right? So I sometimes forget, and I might say something a little off the wall, and his he'll react to it. He'll respond very intensely, very aggressively, and but I know better, and I I actually stand my ground. I'm like, bro, like, you're not gonna talk to me that way. Like, what is it about what I said hurt you? You know, like, they're just words. You know what I'm saying? They're just words. Like, I'm not attacking you. You know what I'm saying? Like, what is it? And the prime example is the last time that I talked to him. Literally, like, I said something, it upset him, and then I asked him, I'm like, why does this upset you? I used to respond and react in the same way that he did, and that obviously escalates it, right? It gets really crazy. But I've learned I don't do that. I don't do that with him. I don't do that with anyone, you know. So it's interesting because, like, he responds, because I've changed how I respond and react to him. It changes his response and reaction to me. So I just asked him, "Why does this upset you?" And you know what? It was crazy because, like, he thought about it, and you know what he said? He's like, "You know what? I don't know. I don't know why what you said upset me, but let me tell you a story." And then he told me a story that was tied into what I said, and it was a story I had never heard before, but it almost sounded like his reaction was spawned by a sense of self-shame because of something that he had done in his past. And then we were able to then I was able to understand his side of it and why he reacted that way, and agreed that it probably wasn't a subject that should have been brought up in the first place. Not between, at least not between a father and son, but like I don't I don't look at him like that. Like I have a very, very strange relationship with my parents and other family members. I don't I don't operate on that box. Like I don't know boundaries. I don't have a filter. So sometimes I overshare. That's something I do. I overshare sometimes, and that can be triggering for some people. I'm working on that, I guess. I don't know. But whatever. You know what? They need to wake up. They need to get out of their box. So I'm not gonna apologize for it. Just gonna keep being me. They'll catch on eventually. They'll catch on.
Thank you.
You're
So, yeah, to get out of that fight or flight, like, we've got some pretty good tools that we can use and for navigating that response. And it sounds like you have figured out like how to pause, how to analyze the situation, how to switch directions. But it's also important to recognize how that like how our fight or flight can also serve as a catalyst for stepping into your purpose. By managing stress and anxiety, we create a space to connect with our inner wisdom and intuition, allowing us to clarify our goals and align our actions with our true purpose. So let's now shift our focus to how these practices can support us in embracing our unique path and making a meaningful impact in the world. I'm pretty sure, Ashley, you have some practical steps for discovering and embracing one's purpose.
Yes, I do. And then after that, I'm pretty sure B was going to share about exploring passions and values. But so some practical steps that you can implement to start the discovery process and kind of embracing your own purpose is definitely introspection. Meditation helps with that. Journaling regularly actually you can uncover like personal strengths, interests, and values that you weren't able to like easily recognize and verbalize. Writing allows you to explore parts of even your subconscious mind that you don't always have access to, and it's another way that you can actually recognize different patterns in different areas. Another great way is to seek inspiration. Check out different mentors, role models, look at different books. They offer guidance and different perspectives, because sometimes finding your purpose is only a perspective shift away. Experimentation, actually getting out and trying different activities, trying some hobbies, check out different career paths, like discover what actually like really fulfills you and brings you joy. Reflecting on past experiences to identify patterns of fulfillment and purpose. Again, journaling is a great way to reflect. And also kind of release whatever emotions as you're going through the process of writing. It gets it out of you, so it's not just like festering in your head. Growth mindset, embracing a growth mindset, being very open-minded to change, and in turn, it allows you to actually see new opportunities that you normally wouldn't see if you weren't open to actually like changing your life, or your direction of life. And action and goals, setting small achievable goals that kind of align with where you feel your purpose is drawing you, will create some momentum and a sense of progress towards a more purposeful and meaningful life. All right, be awesome. You're up.
So, what a good place to start really is just, hey, am I happy? Am I doing activities that make me happy? For many people that you have a job that you have to commit a certain amount of time to, to pay bills, put food on the table, and other responsibilities. But when you have free time, when you have time where you can do anything you want, like what are you doing with that time? You know? What are you doing with that time? What can you be doing with that time? You know, might not be motivated to do anything. You just want to come in and sit on the couch and watch TV. That's fine. What are you watching? You know? So you know, I'm not gonna judge anybody. That's not what I do. But just be mindful of how things make you feel. Because how you feel and the more time that you spend in a specific state of emotion is going to present itself more often in your life. So if you're watching TV shows and movies that stir up a lot of negative emotion like fear, sadness, disgust, things like that, I mean that's time that you're intentionally um, allowing yourself to spend in those emotional states that you don't have to. I mean, you're creating issues by allowing yourself to be in those emotional states. And what happens is this will reflect in other life experiences. And then you're going to sit there and wonder, why are things like this happening to me? I don't deserve this. This isn't fair. Why is this happening to me? And it's very, very important that you grasp and understand the concept that you are literally the creator, director, producer, star of your own life, of your show, you know, and you're also an audience member. You have to be your number one fan in this process too. I mean, it all ties together, you know. So think, be mindful, be aware of things that make you smile. I mean, that's a good place to start, you know. Um, if you have a window open and you hear the birds chirping and it makes you feel good and it makes you smile, go towards it. Lean into that a little bit more, spend a little bit more time, get closer to the birds, get closer to nature, you know, just a few minutes. Just expand on the things that make you feel good, you know, in a safe way that it doesn't you know, take away from anybody else's ability to do what they're doing, you know. And then you want to ask yourself, you know, are the choices I'm making really reflective of um, you know, the values that I hold in my heart? You know, what is my belief system, my whole basis for making choices and decisions? You know, am I directing my life based on the expectations of others? Am I trying to impress others? Because I can tell you, um, none of them care about you as much as they care about themselves. So you have to care about you. You have to, this is where the whole self-love ties into everything because no one is going to be able to love you more than you love yourself. You will not be able to love someone else more than you love yourself. So it's so vitally important. And it's not selfish because when you fill up your own cup, it will overflow and it will be easier and more real. It won't be forced, it'll be natural. You are loving yourself, taking care of your own needs, will want to see that in others. You will naturally, you know, I don't know, like inspire others to want the same in themselves, you know, because that's none of us are here to save anyone else. Like we can't. because everybody is going to make their own choices, but you can move in your highest direction. And this is the best way to help those around, because they're going to see it in you, they're going to be inspired by you, and then they're going to want to follow in those footsteps. That's what I got for you.
Oh, thank you
Welcome.
for sharing all that. Yeah, and you know, for many of us, when it comes to our purpose, we're lost. And I'm pretty sure I've mentioned that in this episode, but you know, we can give you all these lists of how to, but it can still be so overwhelming and confusing.
No, I agree for you. So, for example, within myself, I would search and like intellectualize how like finding my purpose, like whether that was, you know, looking at my north node in astrology, checking out my, you know, life path number, like all of these you know, sources that give us a little bit of insight on like where, you know, our energy and skills would be useful. But it never really you know, brought me to anywhere where I thought I was actually in my purpose. Like I just kept it so intellectualized and didn't allow it to really be in my heart. And something, you know, that I kind of came to somewhat recently about, you know, finding, you know, your purpose in that whole discovery process is really just focusing on what brings you consistent joy. Because when you are in that energy of joy and then actually sharing that energy with others, they're going to feel that and they're going to benefit off the vibration of that. And it's going to, you know, help them, but it's also going to reinforce that what you're doing is actually like your purpose. Like it's going to come easy to you. And then, you know, on the days when you're not feeling it, like feeling like life, like it's something that brings you joy consistently, and it's something that will help it be, you know, sustainable, you know, not just focused on, you know, your textbook understanding of what your purpose is, because, you know, striving to do that every day, even on the bad days, you know, brings you joy, and it's just going to keep up you know, that passion and that motivation to keep forward on your journey of your purpose. You know, finding your purpose seems like a huge hurdle, but once you find it, then you gotta sustain it, you know, and create something with it. And then, you know, for me, I have my Venus in Gemini, so I have this kind of energy of wanting everything, and especially with the Venus is like the things that I like and enjoy and love, which allows me to get really like pumped up and inspired to start things, and start many different things, but not actually like focus in and zone in on one, where I end up not finishing many things because I've, you know, spread myself too thin. And I'm kind of still working on that, like narrowing that in into one full, you know, joy and passion to really, you know, build something and create something. But there are some practical steps for, you know, kind of discovering and embracing your purpose. Um, you know, here, oh, never mind. I already shared these.
Yeah, just like going on about what you said, like that, like, you know, we may not be able to figure out what that purpose is right now, but like finding that joy and your purpose will kind of come into play. And there's actually this book, it's called, oh, you can't see it unless I put something more. And it's based on the archaeological excavation of or the psychological theory of the archaeological excavation of your authentic self, which is pretty much a simple way of finding your joy, and then your purpose comes into play there. But since we're massively running out of time, I'm going to move us straight on to the superfood spotlight, and how this has helped all of us really implement self-love into our daily practice.
Okay, so yeah, so our ultimate lifestyle transformation, also called the ULT, is a very simplified system. So if you are really trying to start cultivating that self-love and really focusing on creating like a healthy routine for yourself, and trying to heal your gut and make massive change in your life, having something simple that takes out a lot of the research and the guesswork is huge. And that's what the ULT was for me. So implementing that program actually allowed me not to keep researching how to eat healthy and how to work on my vegetarian towards vegan diet, and be able to really fully receive all the nourishment that my mind, body, and soul needed. And it really provided that by giving you a clear structure of here's what you're going to take, when you're going to take it, how you're going to take it. And honestly, when you're on that system, you only really have to worry about one meal out of the whole day. So it really allows you to be able to use your energy and your brain power towards focusing on those other habits and things that you want to implement to make that change in your life.
Yeah. I always say that simplification leads to duplication.
Heck yeah.
Whatever, it's simple in a way that you can repeat it every day and not have to think about it. And it's very, very easy to share it with others. It's very easy to understand. And that's really all that boils down to. That's
For
why.
sure. So what does the shake actually do? You're muted.
That's a good question, because so many times we talk about like what it is and what does it do. And I'd like to go into like all of what's in the ULT, which is the power shake, the super aminos, the biomedic, the apothecary, and the super cleanse are. But just to begin, so one, we're eating food on a regular basis, and also the glyphosate that's in our food and our water and our air is destroying our gut, so we cannot actually digest or absorb the nutrients. And we're also eating all this junk that's not really nutrient based. A lot of us are, and even if we're eating healthy, we're not actually absorbing the nutrition because of that glyphosate. So our body's freaking out, and it's constantly hungry. And so we have a hard time focusing, we have a hard time with energy levels, the list goes on and on. But when we actually drink the power shake, which is a unique blend of nutrition, it nourishes you on that cellular level. So now your cells aren't freaking out anymore, and you have better focus. Your body has the energy it needs, and then we mix those super aminos in there, which the super aminos were originally developed for coma patients to build muscle and burn fat without even moving a muscle. So you add that in there, and you get better energy levels and less brain fog, and you also you start feeling better in your body because you're moving muscles, getting strong. And it really worked for me because I went through 3.5 months of dealing with a baby who was withdrawing off of opiates, and I couldn't move. I held him all the time, and even when he fell asleep, 20 minutes, done, awake again. And so I didn't have time to go outside and exercise and do much of anything. And that starting the ULT, I lost 30 pounds in 3 months without really exercising, and got rid of my mom gut, and just felt had the energy to power through that hard time.
That's super awesome and definitely very inspirational. And I'm sure that was a huge blessing, especially going through that really trying time and not really, being able to have the self-care time and whatnot, like being able to know that even just being able to drink a couple shakes and, add a little bit more, gave that to you where you couldn't do that because of the restrictions with your son's health. But you brought up glyphosate, and that's why the biomedic is so amazing, because it is the only product out there that can help remove the glyphosate out of your body. And there's nobody really that can avoid glyphosate being in their body when you really do the research. So if you don't know about glyphosate, I would definitely recommend doing some research so you can kind of understand why it's such a huge topic right now and why it's so important, especially to all of us here. And then the apothecary, so that is a really delicious tart cherry juice. And what that is a natural melatonin. So one of the things that you really should focus on, especially when you're healing and you're starting this self-love journey, is your sleep and getting more sleep. Like, we all have such a sleep deficit. We barely allow ourselves to get as much sleep. There's too much life that has to happen and be taken care of that we don't really enjoy our sleep much anymore. And that's what that does. It allows you to get a very deep sleep, especially if you struggle with sleep, without having to put like an external chemical in your body to induce that sleep. And on top of it, when you're waking up, like, you actually feel rested. You don't feel like groggy. You don't feel like, just that you didn't get any sleep. And I find that happens with a lot of other like sleep aids. So that's great. And that's the thing too with sleep for me, that I was able to recognize the healing within myself, because my therapist was the one who helped me recognize that I had never come down from my high level of like my fight or flight like energy in myself. And I started complaining about sleeping too much. And I was like, I don't like this. I'm not used to this. I'm used to like my 5 or 6 hours and I'm good to go. Like, why am I sleeping 7 to 9 hours? Like, what's going on? And it was because of the apothecary, but on the same sense, it was allowing me to actually heal while I was sleeping, because that's where a lot of your real, cellular, emotional healing happens, is when you're able to get to that deep sleep. So being able to notice that I was getting more sleep was a huge indicator that I had really started the healing process, and that my baseline energy was starting to come down and not be so high. So that was like a huge movement forward for me.
Yeah. And
That,
be awesome. Oh, go ahead.
oh, sorry. Yeah, I was going to say that apothecary is great. I mean, it also helps repair the nervous system. I take it sometimes post workout as well, on top of. But the one of the other elements to the ULT is the super cleanser formula, and what this does is it gently removes parasites from your body, and you know there's enough in the package to cover 2 months worth of a protocol. So there's directions, but you usually go in a cycle of 10 days, and then you wait I think like 20 or so, but you have to understand your body. Everyone's different. You're gonna have different reaction to it. When you're already in the health and wellness, when you're already eating healthier, and you've taken that step, the detoxing effects and impacts are going to be less extreme. But if you're starting and you come in and the last 6 meals were Taco Bell, Burger King, McDonald's, you're going to notice some significant changes. You may feel worse before you begin to feel better. And with all the toxic buildup, that has got to be released and come out of your body. That is why the ideal way for this to work in the best way is to commit to the whole 90-day program. That's you're going to see the most results. But when it comes to the actual products and the greens and getting this stuff in your system, I mean, this is like living frequency. You know, these are live superfoods. You know, the way that they're grown, the intention behind them from it being planted, you know, watered, picked, grown, processed. You know, there's love involved the whole way, every step of the way, and they're you know, dehydrated in low temperature settings to maintain the nutrient content, to make sure that this food is still alive, you know, and that is what you're putting into your body. You know, it is powerful. So that living energy, that living frequency, it's in you. It wakes up your cells. You know, it helps to create new ones and get rid of the ones that are not good. You know, and it's a constant detoxification that's always happening. You know, it's gradual and it's gentle, combined with the nutrient replenishment that's always happening as well. It gets all angles, and even if you're not able to move beyond certain habits, just getting this in your system is going to radically improve your experience with food in your body. You know, and then as you feel and see those results, then you're naturally going to want to begin to apply this to that third meal or whatever. You know, maybe you won't go to that McDonald's and Taco Bell anymore. You'll realize, wait a minute, hold on, I see what's happening here. Maybe I will make different choices, and then you're going to watch that amplify the effects and the
Yeah.
frequency, energy, and then it just emanates out.
Yeah, I always say, you know, you must experience this food in order to understand that frequency, the frequency of the food. Because what happens is we flood our body with this and our frequency starts to raise, and then it ripples out into other parts of our lives. Like our soul family starts coming in, the opportunities that we need start coming in. Maybe that money starts coming in because it's raising our frequency. And it's truly amazing. It's inspirational. The food has definitely changed my life. It's made me so much happier, like my mental health, like even going through. So when I was really, really, really like into my superfood regimen was when the baby went into open heart surgery, and then like he died 4 times. He was put on ECMO for 7 days. He was in the hospital for 21 days on a respirator. So it was like a total of 31 days that I should have just been like an emotional wreck. But I was on 3 shakes a day, and I had done my super cleanse, my parasite cleanse, and my emotions were so balanced. I was able to still take care of things that I needed to take care of and make it on a Facebook Live every day. Like it's just phenomenal, and it blew my mind. I was just like, that's when I really, really became hooked. And I mean, before that, I had already tried the superfoods. I've taken them gradually, like over some months or whatever, and like fallen off. But it was like in August when I started actually like taking it seriously, it really exploded for me. So, and we wanted to kind of move into just sharing some tools for you guys. I have an inner mother meditation. I think it's great for like that inner child, healing that inner child. It's on Insight Timer. I'll put a link in the comments. Also, I invite you to the Facebook group where you can find all this stuff too. And then we also have another self-love meditation. And I have this really cool book. It's called Mirror Work by Louise Hayes. And it's a day book. It's 21 days to heal your life. And I mean, if you look at the table of contents, there's some really great topics in here, like loving yourself, monitoring your self-talk, building your self-esteem, releasing your inner critic, overcoming your fear, forgiving yourself and those who have hurt you, loving your inner child, receiving your prosperity. Like it just, all of these topics are pretty good. So I'll put another link in the comments and in the group for this.
I have a couple books to share as well. This is kind of like actually a workbook. It's called, it's not
Put it in front of your face.
There we go. The ABCs of Self-Love by Melody Godfred. And if you look through, it has, it goes A through Z, and each letter has like a topic. So like I just flipped to letter D. It says daily dream, and it'll give you like an activity, and it will, you know, talk about whatever that topic is. And you know, it's just has so many cool little like small ways that you can kind of start your self-love journey if you don't know where to start, or maybe you only have like 5 minutes each day. And then this is another great book. It's called the, ooh, it's a little too bright. There we go. The Vibrational Poetry Book. And it says the poetic pathway to emotional freedom, words to navigate the vibrational spectrum. So you can go through and let's say you're, you know, feeling something. You can find out where exactly on that emotional vibration scale you are at. And then you can flip through to that section in the book, and there'll be like a few different poems to read and really like contemplate like how you feel after reading them. And then from there, it'll give you some affirmations to move through that emotion. So for example, this one's fear. It gives you some affirmations, some reflective questions to think about, and like other activities that you can kind of do to like work through that emotion, and which in turn will allow you to have like a direction and kind of like something in your tool belt when you know experience that emotion as well in the future. B, did you have anything to share?
You know, yeah, I've got an ebook out there circulating the planet right now. It's called Bee's Infinity Guide to Awesomeness, and it's just going to give you some basic information and a lot of steps that you can begin to implement right away. You know, and if we'll have the link up for you that you'll be able to take a look at that.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. And that brings us to the end of today's episode. We have covered a lot of information today. So here's a recap. In this episode, we have examined the transformative power of self-love and explored techniques for cultivating it. And we've also discussed the vital role that it plays in our overall well-being. We've examined the concept of willpower and strategies for harnessing it to actually help you, you know, move forward and grow in your own personal life. We've uncovered the fight or flight responses and have explored the impact on our mental and physical health, and also shared some techniques for managing the stress and anxiety.
Now remember, self-love serves a potent antidote to the effects of fight or flight responses. So as you step into your purpose, remember to nurture yourself along the way.
Yes, and we would like to invite our listeners to ask questions related to the topic of discovering your purpose and embracing self-love in the comments below the podcast.
You can also join our Facebook group and ask questions there, or share where you're struggling right now, or maybe share an inspirational story about how you have stepped out of the darkness and into the light. And we invite you to share tools that you have used to love yourself more.
Wanted to share one final piece of information. The very pinnacle of awareness of yourself and those around you, how to really cultivate that, is self-forgiveness. You know, forgiving yourself for everything that you've done to yourself, everything you've done to others prior to, this moment. You're taking your power back, right? And this can be challenging to do, but just trust us. Trust us. Forgive yourself. Forgive others. Forgive others for what they have done to you, what they're doing to themselves. When you do those two things, that creates like an energetic release, and now you can actually move forward fully in who you are and discovering your purpose. And, it 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 kind of frees others as well. That energy will due to quantum entanglement, your forgiveness of them is going to kind of reverse some of their own negative, feelings about those situations as well. And if you still are in and they're in your awareness, your field of awareness, you may even notice changes in them as well. So do that. Watch the magic happen. Watch that.
Thank you so much, Bianca, for being on our podcast and sharing all your wisdom.
Yes, thank you so much. It has been a joy. And join us in our next episode as we embark on a fascinating journey into the realm of plant medicine. We'll uncover the ancient wisdom behind psychedelic remedies and compare their transformative benefits with those found in the colorful world of superfoods. Discover how nature's pharmacy offers diverse pathways to wellness, catering to those seeking profound healing without the use of traditional drugs.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. And for anyone listening, pay attention to these two women. I mean, if you're looking for people who are authentic and are practicing what they're preaching, I mean, this is the place to be. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.